All right, good morning, boys and girls. So, this week and next week, probably, we're going to be talking about poetry. And we're going to be reading some poems and talking about some pieces of poems and what they're called, and some words that you need to know when it comes to poetry. All poems have lines, stanzas. Some poems have rhyming words. A lot of poems have rhyming words. The ones that we'll read mostly have rhyming words. And then there is space in between the different pieces of the poem. So, for example, if we look at this poem, this is a poem by Shel Silverstein, and it has two stanzas. It has this stanza on this side. It has a space in between the two stanzas. So here's one stanza, here's the other stanza. So anytime there's a space, that's when a new stanza starts. A stanza is a group of lines. Okay, so a stanza is a group of lines in a poem separated by a space, and a line is just one single line of poetry. So again, if we look back here, this first one says, "I cannot go to school today." That's one line of poetry. Said little Peggy Ann McKay. That's the second line. So if we counted all of those lines, we could go right through and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and keep counting them. So the lines are just like the lines as we go down. A stanza is the whole group of lines together. Okay. We're also going to be looking for alliteration, and alliteration is when you use the same beginning sound for a lot of the words in the sentence. So an example that I wrote was Rosie ran around the red raincoat. We hear the R sound over and over and over again. Rosie ran red raincoat. So while you're reading some of the poems that we have, you can look for examples of alliteration. And some poems don't have alliteration. Another thing that poems do a lot is they repeat themselves. So they repeat a word, or sometimes they repeat a whole line of poetry again and again. So this one says, "Rain, rain, rain, come again another day. Rain, 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 I want to go out to play." So they repeat the word rain 3 times over and over and over again. So that's repetition, if you repeat something or say something over and over again. Poems can be silly or they can be serious. So when we read this poem in just a second, I want you to be thinking if it is serious or if it's silly. All right, so let's look at this poem called Sick. "I cannot go to school today," said little Peggy Ann McKay. "I have the measles and the mumps, a gash, a rash, and purple bumps. My mouth is wet, my throat is dry. I'm going blind in my right eye. My tonsils are as big as rocks. I've counted 16 chicken pox. And there's one more, that's 17. And don't you think my face looks green? My leg is cut, my eyes are blue. It might be instamatic flu. I cough and sneeze and gasp and choke. I'm pretty sure my leg is broke. My hips hurt when I move my chin. My belly button's caving in. My back is wrenched. My ankle's sprained. My appendix pains each time it rains. My nose is cold. My toes are numb. I have a sliver in my thumb. My neck is stiff. My voice is weak. I hardly whisper when I speak. My tongue is filling up my mouth. I think my hair is falling out. My elbow's bent. My spine ain't straight. My temperature is 108. My elbow's bent. My spine ain't straight. My temperature is 108. My brain is shrunk. I cannot hear. There is a hole inside my ear. I have a hangnail and my heart is... What? What's that? What's that you say? You say today is Saturday? Goodbye, I'm going out to play." So let's look at the things we can talk about. So stanzas, how many stanzas does this poem have? We said there was one here and one here. So together, how many are there? 2. So there are 2 stanzas in this poem. Sometimes there's only one. Lines. If I look at the lines in this poem, there's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So there are 32 lines. Okay, rhyme or rhyming words. So did this poem have rhyming words? Most of the time, rhyming words are at the end of each line. So if we look at the last word, today, McKay, does that rhyme? Yes. Mumps, bumps, dry, eye, rocks, pox, 17, green, blue, flew, choke, broke, and we could keep going. All of those things rhyme. So yes, this poem has rhyming words. Okay, alliteration. I don't think this poem really has alliteration where they use the same thing. Maybe right there where it says measles, mumps. No, in this one it's not so apparent, but in that sentence where it says, I have the measles and the mumps, measles and mumps would be an example of alliteration. Okay, so not really in this poem. And repetition. At the beginning of each sentence, he says my, I, my, and I. So he keeps saying my and I, like I have this. This is what's wrong with me. So the poet repeats my and I over and over again. All right. So that's what you need to be thinking about this week, boys and girls. And during small group, we're going to talk more about it because poetry isn't something you normally learn about until usually second grade. So this is brand new to most of us. So we're going to talk more about this in small group and practice, picking out how many stanzas, how many lines, examples of rhyming words, alliteration, and repetition. All right. I'll see you in small groups.